Okay, good morning all. We're here for Crazyhouse Weekly 18. Apologies for the late start. I've had some sound issues this morning. I've been trying to fix them up before starting streaming. I think I just had some Windows updates come in and make some unknown changes. So yeah, got a bit of catching up to do. About half an hour behind, but we're away now. Alright, so I got a bit of catching up to do. Today's time limit is 3 plus 2. I've got increment happening today, so I need to consider twice before berserking. Yeah, I might get a bit settled in before I try some berserking here. Okay, so fairly balanced position here. Now, the only difference is my development is a little more advanced than my opponent. But it doesn't particularly matter. I should have actually taken this. I missed that. And if the viewers can just let me know if sound seems okay. I had some massive static problems which made everything inaudible earlier. It would be good to know if that's now been resolved. Good morning, M. Michael. He said good morning to me. And Michael, if you could just let me know if sound seems okay, that'd be much appreciated. Alright, so we picked up the queen here. Okay, I'm now on 12 points, well off the lead, which is at 32, and matches can be quite long here. So, yeah, if I have an opportunity, I may start berserking. Okay, sounds like all's good with sound. I can tell you, it definitely wasn't when I was testing it. I was testing it. I think every second you just got a big blast of static. Okay, I'm berserking against Igor Borger Farais. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that one correctly. Apologies if I'm not. Now, for those who are new to this, berserking when you have increment involved means that the berserking player also loses the right to any increment, rather than just half the increment. So it is a large time disadvantage. Okay, I'm focused on dark squares in this game. I'm just going to put everything on that. Yeah, this is quite an aggressive idea. I'm not really sure I like it actually. We'll see my opponent's response. But yeah, I think this is best, and I think Queen G5, yeah, because then Bishop at D2 becomes a real threat with Black having a knight in hand, and I can't grab this rook. So I've actually, yeah, I've sacrificed a piece for a pawn here without the return I was looking for. Now after rook g8, unfortunately I still have this move. But yeah, if I capture the rook, I still lose this knight on f4, and there's still this pawn hanging. So I'd rather knock this queen around a little bit first before I try to capture that rook. So queen f5, I'm playing bishop d3. If the queen comes back, then I'm happy to take the rook. So I'm seeing bishop d3, bishop e4, potentially g4. No, he's taking a knight. So I'll get the other queen in. And the idea is if there's a block there, I'll play queen at g8. And then that will allow queen g takes f7 and then queen to e8 mate. But he's running, so it's not going to happen. I'm going to play bishop b5 first to cut off this escape square. So this is a likely move, and then I can try to mop up here. So if he blocks with the bishop, I can sack the queen and take it. I could play queen e8, but I might chase him out here. This will wrap him up. So I force king d7, and then the key move is queen takes e6 because it blocks off this bishop. Then pawn at c7 to finish, or queen e7. Okay, so the chase is on. Got a half-hour deficit today, but yeah, I think there's a potential for some really long games to happen up the top boards. So there's still room to catch up. So we got Chicken Crossroad, 12-10, Opelwezen. I was going to look at some more players, but they're all here. Bonobo is in the house today. There's a lot of strong players. Masalanka is a new name I'm not familiar with. Okay. So yeah, I don't play into this line often. In fact, it seems a bit new, but I'm going to try to take advantage of this fork. Play a double knight sacrifice. It's only really temporarily because one knight comes back, and then there's a couple pawns in return for that as well. So yeah, I'll just grab this pawn as well. There are other options like knight at g4, pawn at f4 instead of taking this, but this is fairly sensible, and the idea is that black's king is a little bit off. Yeah, if he chooses to give up the queen, the bishop on g4 that remains will be hitting e2. So if takes, then there'll be queen at e2, king g1, pawn at f2 mate. So that's not preferable. But the other options are not much better, because this will lead to mate pawn at c2 as well. It might be only a move like king f3, which is quite uncomfortable as well. It seemed like it wasn't immediately losing. Alright, so getting up to 7th position. Okay, chicken crossroad. So a tough opponent here. Making a conscious decision not to berserk this one. Definitely want the time advantage. Or rather, not time advantage, but I don't want a time disadvantage. Okay, a bit of time being spent by my opponent in the opening here. I assume because he may have seen this opening before, this is quite robust for white. I use white's going to play f3, start pushing black back, and basically claim space advantage, where it's sometimes hard for black to make progress. So with these pawn chains interlocked, black doesn't have a way to really push pawns clearly except for f6. So while it seems quite passive for white to begin with, white just has a very solid position and try to exploit the space advantage. So here I'm going to ignore this move for a second and hit f5, which is defending g7. Pawn on g7 is definitely worth more than the pawn on e5. So castles. So I'd like to start getting decisive soon. Now, rather than capturing everything here, which sort of helps black, I'm looking for alternatives. So I like e6 just because it limits black's mobility and it potentially hits this square. It's very defensible with knight f4, which is already a natural development move for this knight. So I can't yet go and blow up black by capturing g7. I think I'm just giving up a piece for a pawn there. What I want to do is maybe knight f4, queen e2, cement this pawn on e6, and then I'll look at how I can trade diagonal pieces to start penetrating f7, g7, h6. So you might have rook b1. You may even sack a rook for a diagonal piece, given there's so little activity on white's front. So now bishop at g5. So at some stage I'd consider if taking on g7 is actually worthwhile. So in fact I am going to take here. And now the question is if to play knight at h5 or something like pawn f7. So I like pawn f7 here only because the queen and king are aligned for me to hit on e6. Yeah, this is interesting. I don't have a pawn to mate him here yet. I'm not going to take this first, or else the queen would take and it would be able to capture the knight. I'm going to allow him to capture this first. I might get bishop at g7 in, forces king g8. And I'll have this rook to attack at the end of it. So yeah, not getting something immediately strong though. So it is, he's just basically planning to take all my pieces, so if my knight moves, he'll clean up. And his king's in no immediate danger either, so I'm not really getting exactly what I want from the position. I'm going to capture here, at least get some dark square weaknesses. So I'd like to cash in and pick up his queen perhaps. He is defending very well though. So. He plays bishop here so that g7 is defended, so that pawn at h6 isn't mating. Now, while it looks like I'm attacking, I've got a queen in hand here. I actually don't have all the pieces I want. I do have some initiative to push forward with, but it's still a long way from home. The queen alone itself is not enough to mate. I do need another pawn, and there's some tactical nous to be able to get that home. Yeah, I think it's worthwhile sacking this now. Bishop f6, I'll play bishop e5. I've got to be careful, I'm not getting mated now too. And unfortunately, it looks like he's just surviving. So I'm going to have to cover myself at home base as well. Whoops. That's just a cold blunder. I should have just played rook e1. This is not good at all. Okay, I've got some defense around my king, but we'll see if it's enough to hold up. Oh, now I'm letting him in with knight f4. So it's crumbling now. So yeah, pretty disappointing there. Queen takes g8 was just a cold queen blunder. That changed things a lot. Okay, and Michael was saying knight takes g7, king takes g7, knight at e6, check fork the queen, but wasn't it worth it? Instead of e6, later it wasn't available, of course. Yeah, and Michael could be right. There might have been a queen fork opportunity. I think it was worth it. Um, Perhaps I've missed it. I'm just more focused on actually having the stream up after the audio was failing this morning. Okay, so early f7 sack. Bishop at h4 is an idea. I'm going to make use of that. That seems like it's parting with the defender on g5. So yeah, I'm holding on to two pieces for the pawn here and still relatively solid. Alright, so I want to be hitting light squares now. This is picking up the queen. And I'm going to threaten mate instead. I can delay capturing that queen if he doesn't avoid the mate threat. He'll get mated instead. So king g3, bishop h4, king f4, and queen g5. Oh, well, Wesson really flying. So I won against him in the first game. Then I had to stop for microphone issues, and he's just gone flying after that. Okay, this is Kui. So having this shifted off makes this file useful. Okay, it's not there anymore. So now what I want to do is be able to mobilise these knights over to the king side. So I need to start by placing this bishop here to make room for this knight. I'll recapture at B. Just another defender here. That's actually not what I expected though. Maybe rook takes was better. I'm not keen. I'm not actually too happy about losing that pawn on a6. The position's very balanced and blocked at the moment, so every pawn makes a difference. So I think white's already a little bit better here, but then I now need to try to attack on the king side quickly before that pawn loss amounts to something else. Okay, so I need to equip myself with some pieces. I'm going to try to hit this pawn as a way in. So I suppose that's a tip. If you drop a pawn or a piece, it's ideal if you can try to hit back quickly before your opponent can consolidate and turn that material advantage into something more substantial. So now the position's quite unbalanced. I've got a queen in hand. I've got a weakness to try to hit. My king side's still fairly stable, but it's not all sorted yet. Rather than play pawn at f2, which allows the king to go to safety, and it becomes very hard to hit white's position, I'm putting the knight there to threaten mate, and then bring the king out this way. If he captures it, I think if he captures, I think rook at d3 will mate. So what I'm seeing is queen at e3, king f2, queen e3, king f1, and then there's a sack on d1 which allows pawn and bishop to mate like this. Okay, about an hour to go. Really gotta put some quick wins on the board. So this is I am Perzel Borma. Apologies if I'm pronouncing any names incorrectly. I'm always trying my best to do that right. Okay. This is already a new position to me. Oh, that's just blundering a piece, knight at f4. So I want to make some quick inroads in with this extra piece. There may also be some e5 tricks later on. I'm happy to sack a little bit. Now, if queen takes, bishop at g5 traps the queen because it can't go back. And if king took it, then bishop at g5 was also there. So the king would have had to go back against this, and knight takes g6, or bishop at g7 was coming in with some mate threats. So yeah, let's go here. Don't know if this is correct. I had some other options as well, but there'll be a lot of material to pick up this way. So with all the squares cut off for the king, pawn at d6 is now a mate threat, which needs to be addressed. Queen g7 is also a check. I've delayed the capture on g7 just to cut off the king from going further kingside. So now the knight's defending this, I'm going to remove it, play here, and then I've got mate now. Yeah, it is interesting, this time limit, because it seems that if there's the game duration, depending on your opponent, can be very different. This is Krosky now. Krosky's a decent enough player that I could consider not berserking, but it's only the pressure of the tournament. Trying to catch someone like Oppelwesen that's so far ahead, I'm choosing to berserk here. Okay, this is playing into known territory for my opponent. I can tell by the pace that he's moving his pieces. So thinking more here about how I can create differentiation in the position. Oh, actually, I think I'll take with a pawn instead if he captures, so I can try to play f6. Um, so yeah, what's going on here? What's going on in my head? Black sacrificed a piece for 2 pawns, which is quite reasonable, um, and yeah, it's nothing decisive yet on the king, but he's also quite safe. So if I don't make some progress soon, I'll be up against it. I'm trying to get in on f6. I'm thinking of things like bishop at h4 and bishop at f6. That's my attack plan. I have enough minor pieces on the king side that my king should be secure. Bishop at h4 also covers f2 with an x-ray defense here, because some ideas like pawn at h2 and knight at f2 are common. But yeah, there's no easy win from here. Maybe knight c7 is on and I should consider capturing that. But I do need to keep an eye out at home. Knight at e3 is something if the knight leaves that post. I'd just rather put a pawn on here than a bishop. And there's a few other ideas. You can also try to undermine this pawn structure by sacrificing a piece to achieve some safety. For the time being, I'm going to try to push on a little bit aggressively. And I want this bishop to remain active on this square as well. That's going to be useful for attacking. So yeah, knight at e3 is a possibility now to have a look at. But then he also has to be careful if he gives me a knight, then knight at g5 is going to become a critical attacking move as well. Yeah, so I'm going to go for it a little bit here. Be decisive and really hit g6, sorry. I don't have a knight or a rook to really start hitting the king, so I need to get in with the diagonal pieces any way I can. So if he takes the bishop, then pawn at g6 will wrap things up because I'll pick up the queen. And if he defends with a knight, I'll probably capture a few times. With a knight in hand, I'll be able to play knight at g5 and capture the queen as well. So I seem to have enough attack potential here to get into the position. Alright, he's gone for this way. Yeah, I'm sure mate would follow fairly soon after he takes f5. Okay, we're back to Oppelwesen. I'll defend with the knight. Maybe play knight b5. Yeah. I'll support turn. What will I do? I think just castling is sensible. He may do some piece sack on e5. That's okay. So I don't want to allow this to turn into something decisive. So now should I go to g6 or c6? I'm not concerned about pawn e7. I'm going to run the rook up. I think I prefer c6 because if he captures, then I get my knight active from b8. I think it's more useful at this point in time to try to open up this rook. So yeah, this is good fun. This is a new position to me, new position to him, and we both just have to figure it out. But what I'm basically trying to do is justify that this is not really doing anything. If I can do that, I'll be ahead. Okay, so he's expended a bit of time there. I'm going to move this here so he can't capture that. Now I'm threatening things on c2. So I need to try to make these pieces look silly. Then I'll actually have options with my pieces. So right now I'm quite happy because I've been able to get my king over to the king side, get it safe. My pieces are in good positions. So Daniel FHD's made a comment that Opalwism plays weird openings. Well, they're just not popular yet, but I don't think anything's particularly wrong with them. So it's not comfortable for him here. I mean, he's got to figure out how to address these weaknesses here now. If he plays d3, bishop at c3 just wins the rook. Pawn at c2 maybe, but he's starting to get passive, and I can play bishop at g6 even. So he's completely ignoring it, and he's trying to attack. So yeah, I can play knight at c2, I could play pawn at c2, pawn at b2 even. Yeah, I think pawn at b2 is most direct. Knight at c2 would win the queen, but then it would give him a little bit more tempo to do things with. Knight at d3 to follow was probably fine as well, but pawn at b2 I like. I mean, if he takes my rook, I'm threatening to take his rook. He can take this with check or recapture, but this back rank is really tough because I'd have a queen here threatening to take d1, and he wouldn't be able to take it with his queen because of knight at c2 check, and his king would be just so much more open than mine. So in taking this, it's basically forfeiting the right to take a8 with the knight. So now this doesn't look useful. This just looks like it's blocking that. So I feel I've done a good enough job making these pieces look silly. And I now actually have another pawn in hand to place on c2. So it's really on white to find some defense here. Even if the white king gets the castle, though, the pawn at h3 is going to seal things off if I have a queen in hand. So yeah, we can just capture the rook, or yeah, I'm actually going to let him cook a little bit. Play bishop at f6. I want to undermine this defender, keep everything on attack. Yeah, now I'm undermining the queen. So yeah, it's just really uncomfortable for white there at the end. Alright, so critical games. So I've taken the second game off Opal in there. Stop his run a little bit. There's a number of us on low to mid 40s. BJK, alright. Let's try to continue the streak. We've got 47 minutes to go here. Still plenty to play for. Alright, I've got to remember that I've berserked here and not go too slow either. Alright, knight f7 with the trick knight e5. And then knight g4. So I picked up a couple pawns in the opening here and also weakened the king, so I'm satisfied with how the opening's gone. My next plan is just to balance the dark squares, because d4 and f4 penetration points for his dark knights. So if I play d4, it covers off both of those. And then I can think more about how I attack his position. So the idea here is just to, with this sort of advantage, is just to then try to keep black's king less safe than white's king. Can't play knight at a5 because of bishop at b4. Oh, that's getting mated because that's check. So king d8, queen at d7, king b8, knight d7. That's good. Another quick 5 points on the board, and yeah, I've jumped to second position all of a sudden. So yeah, big difference in yeah. If you play a strong player, you can really slow down here. The increment really makes a difference, where the strong players will just draw out a really long match. Okay, for those who've just joined, if you were trying to join earlier, apologise. I had to start about half an hour late today. Windows updates affected my sound settings, and I spent half an hour sorting out how to get rid of static off my microphone. But yeah, it looks like I'm catching up to the leaders, so that's good to see. Okay, in standard E4, E5 territory here. This sort of stuff I'm quite familiar with. Alright, so C6 is important here to stop knight D5, because that's often a way in for white. But overall still fairly balanced. Black does have a couple pieces in white's half. So yeah, I'm just going to block off this bishop, and a recapture here would help me just defend f4. Yeah, that move's a little bit annoying for my plans, but let's push on. I could back off, but that would allow knight at f5. And then I feel like white's then massing some initiative. What I want to do here is keep an aggressive stance. Maybe get, if the captures happen on e3, there'll be a knight c2 discovered check trick, which will at least give me some material. But I may even choose to let this knight fall and pursue something like g4. Yeah, even here. I'll decline the queen and give more focus on the dark square weaknesses. Taking the queen would still give him 2 pieces for the queen, and then it's not easy to penetrate g3 after knight at f5. So I'd rather have like a weakness here on f2 to hit. So pawn at e2 is probably something I'm looking at here. I need to attack relatively quickly, or else my king will come under fire if I don't make some ground. So I can't come in through the dark squares, I don't have enough. No, this should be taken first. I don't feel that there'll be enough on white's attack, so I prefer to have this knight in hand, because it removes the defender from g3 and also gives me an attacking piece. But the real threat is capture here and rook at g1. So I've got mate to follow. So I've got a comment from Hyper Nerd Man. There's actually a colleague from work. He reports to me, actually, he's being cheeky. He said, "Hi JannLee, you are playing chess the morning before the city to surf. You are game." So guys, you may know I've been doing this Cancer Donations tin series. Yeah, we've been raising money for Lymphoma Australia. Happy to say I've reached my target. I made $510 in the end. Got some help from colleagues, but in fact I think about $380 came from the channel. We had some spare tournament winnings between myself and Oppa Wesen, also to donate to another colleague so he can make his target. But yeah, that event is happening this morning. We take off in about 2.5 hours. So my colleague's just letting me know that I've still got to walk today, 14 kilometres. But that's physical, that's not mental. So I actually don't see myself drawing off the same energy reserves here. Okay, Smurf 42. I'm not familiar enough with this player, so I'm going to just not berserk here. So we're heading down some standard e4, e5 lines. Okay, so when there's a knight here, you've got to be careful of pawn at e7. I'm going to capture this guy because it will relieve me here, but then I'll have pawn at b2, so I can pick up his rook. Little tactical play here, opting to put another attacker on a1, but also turn b4. So that just means if he moves the knight and I capture it, I'll also get his queen if he wants to recapture. So at this point I want to get that bishop out of the way so it can't sack itself here and make any weaknesses this side. Yeah, bishop c3. It's all pretty natural moves. So Daniel FHD has asked, are you going to berserk the marathon too? No, in fact, the marathon it's not a marathon, it's only 14k. No, I'm doing quite the opposite. I'm going to be walking the 14k. So a lot of people will run it. I actually just can't run that distance, but I can easily walk it. So quite the opposite of berserking. I'll be going a lot slower. But look, it'll be a beautiful day. We've got a good forecast ahead. Okay, so my opponent's now threatening to come in with knights. I have to play a funny looking move here, f6, which looks like it's creating a lot of weakness. I just basically have pieces on dark squares here, which makes the light squares a bit weaker. But the issue for white is, without a knight, he can't actually really make progress. So I'm actually just really stopping a knight from coming in on either of these two squares. He's rerouting that knight here to try to get to d5. And a knight would be really useful for him to have here. He doesn't have one in hand. I could also play knight at f4 to cover it, potentially. But okay, here I should try to consolidate somehow. It'd be nice to have a diagonal piece to patch things up with. So b5 would allow knight d5 though. Okay, what to do here? Well, actually, he's going to play knight h4. That's what he wants to do. So I like the way he's playing. He's got a solid position here, and he's forcing me to defend. Okay, I'm going to allow this knight to come here. He's moved there pretty quickly. I'll have to play king h7 to avoid this. But yeah, my position is coming apart a little bit. In fact, if he decides to sack a piece on b5, I may capture this first to prevent knight d5. Yeah, knight f5 is a reasonable option. So the idea is if he plays pawn at g6, I can back the king off. Yeah, that's not comfortable. I'm not having fun here. So what definitely with the upper hand here, I am just holding on defensively, but it is very uncomfortable at the moment. Queen f5's coming in after rook e7. It is all heading south. I've got no attack potential and everything's crumbling. I'm going to toss in the tower pretty soon. I've just been outplayed there. So nice game from Smith42. Yeah, it's maybe I've underestimated the light square weaknesses and his knight h4 idea, so perhaps I had to prevent that before it really came about. Really nice strategic play from my opponent there. You could see that there weren't many pieces in hand for him, but he manoeuvred the pieces he had in on the board very well. So pure essence, very aggressive opponent. No doubt he'll try to hit me on f2. So what I'm trying to do here is show that he's overextended somehow. Oh, this is annoying. I'm going to let him take my queen with check. And now we're both going to attack each other's king as fast as we can. Now what's he playing at here? Rook here. I don't yet see a mate threat, so I'm going to attack him. So I'm playing bishop at f6 to threat a knight at h6. He might try rook at f1. Rook at f1, I could potentially block. The key is something like rook at g1, knight g1 would lose, because then he can play queen g1, rook g1, knight at f2 mate. So it's actually really important to get the move order right and captures. If you play something like rook at g1, you have to play rook takes g1. Then after queen takes, knight takes, he doesn't have a knight in hand to mate with f2. So here I just got to be careful. If he plays rook at f1 and I block with bishop at g1, he'll take with the queen first, which denies this rook capturing, then knight g1, rook g1, knight f2 mate. So I actually have to capture the rook first, and then place the bishop. And that way he's definitely got no knight in hand. So some really critical move order items here. I think he's realised he's not going to be able to get through by that means. So now he's just going to be queen down. Alright, from here there should be mate. Yeah, so yeah, there's a critical point where you, I mean, when I played bishop at f6, it was critical to decide if queen at f2 was really threatening mate or not. And there's certainly some lines that could lead to mate, but with accurate defense, tactically white was able to hold. And so, you know, if you don't pick that right time to counterattack, sometimes you can also miss it. So that was a good sharp example of when to choose to counterattack. Okay, Opal Wesson again. I've got the white pieces for a change. The loss to Smurf 42 has knocked the wind out of my sails a bit though, because then I've lost the multiplier. So I really need to try to recover here. Okay, so this pawn's hanging. I prefer holding on to this pawn rather than retreating the bishop. Okay, this square's opened up now. So e6 is a possibility at some stage. Bishop f2. I can either... Yeah, I could take this, but I'd rather leave this piece hanging here and this piece hanging here. So now, yeah, pawn h3 just takes here and captures here, and then pawn at f3. I actually want to play a move like pawn at d4 just to strategically block black out. I will take this now. And so he's got a queen in hand, but he can't really support an attack. I just need to keep the dark squares covered. Okay. This knight will also help defend f2. He doesn't yet have a pawn here. I missed something. I can't defend both pieces with king f3, so I've got to decide which one I'm going to part with. And I think that's going to be the knight. So that's not ideal. I didn't want to allow that. So I've given something for him to play for here. I mean, this bishop's now also open. But it's not over yet. There's, black's quite underdeveloped as well, so plenty for both sides to play for, really. So e6 is not so good for me just yet. So 93. Yeah, 93 unlocks a few things because of this knight being here. So what I should probably do first is knock that away. I don't mind if he takes this pawn. It's wise, hitting early. No, I'll back off then. So the trouble is, I'm running out of material and I need to place my pieces quite well, or else I'm just going to have nothing to fight with. So I do want to make some light square weaknesses. I figure this might be helping me slightly. I don't know if he was thinking pawn at c4, but I might just capture here. No, it's to capture and bishop at d7 is actually quite lethal as well. It's okay, bishop in hand. I want to try to now work on removing the dangerous pieces that he has, which are the ones in my half. So if he comes 93, take, knight at c4, and I'm hitting the things in my half. So I can't blow him up. Counter-attacking is not going to help me here. I actually have to do the right thing at home. So I'm going to try to pick this guy off because he can't defend it with queen d4. So if I can clear the space here first, that'll give me better chances. Yeah, I'm going to part with that bishop. And that's where I can maybe start looking at it, at stinging him, because he doesn't have an easy inroad. He should attack this knight probably so he can get in on g4. Seems like he heard me. And I'm going to oblige and take all this. Okay. I need to maintain some aggression now, so I've got plenty of pieces around the king. I've improved the position. Wow, he's just decided to ignore that. I am going to capture this, I think. No, maybe not. I'll be sensible. Okay, so he's found safety again. I need to try to make some ground here now. I feel like that's too dangerous. Surely Queen C7 amounts to something. Oh, I'm in danger of losing on time here. I have to abandon the attack and try to defend. I think he's got me. I've let it slip a bit. Yeah, too strong in the end. No, maybe I thought the Queen C7 line was good for me, but I actually needed to just keep defending for a bit. Really delicate game. Um, just some nice tactical play at the end from my opponent. Okay, I'm berserking against Beyond Critics. I really like the way Opperwesen's playing. He's just playing the game for what it is. We're both finding situations we're unfamiliar in, and he's just finding his way from there. So hats off to him. It's really good stuff. And he's still only a few months into the game, so there's a lot more potential you can see from Opperwesen. Okay, now Black's position is slightly passive here, so I don't have a direct way in, but what I'm going to just try to do is limit the squares that his pieces can um, unleash themselves to. Um, what I'm hoping to do is just keep everything passive, like so. Um, and at the right time, I'll just pounce on some weaknesses. So here we go. Choosing to take with the knight here so that I can preserve these two pieces to put pressure on h6, and then things are really going to crumble fast. Yeah, so knight at g5 will be mate, or this way. Okay, so I think I'm too far away to place in the positions today. Half an hour setback didn't help, but also I had chances. I will actually berserk against Smurf this time, just to try to catch up in the late stages. And then also going in with a different opening. So before it was e4, e5. Smurf 42 played a really good game earlier this event and forced the game from my hands. Yeah, it's a solid continuation. I'm going to prepare for g5 by allowing myself to play h5. Now, against g4 I have to move quickly because there's now a weakness here. I want to be able to play knight at f3 or knight at g2. If I don't take advantage of something there, he's just going to roll me with the pawns and he's just going to have a free attack. So removing this bishop alleviates a lot of the pressure on king side here. So now his king looks a bit funny. I actually think instead of knight at g1, he should have castled queen side. He's still strong there. Not to say it's decisive yet or anything like that, but that's just my view. Knight at g3 is now becoming available, so I'm going to harass this knight so it can't come up. Now here I'm looking at knight c6 probably, so I've kind of forgotten I've berserked here. I need to actually move faster. That's my problem now. Okay, I may go a bit quiet here. Just need to focus on the position for a little bit. So I can't defend with bishop at g8 because queen takes g8 and mate. It would be queen takes g8, king takes g8, bishop at f7, king f8, rook at g8, and king h8, rook at h7. So I'm having to defend this way instead. And then I want to play bishop at g8 to follow, to unlock myself. Oh, this h6 looks really deadly. Got to defend very accurately with very little time now. Okay, let's try to get this attack going. If king f1, bishop at g2, mates. If king h2, takes f2. Yeah. Alright, happy to pull off a win there. That was good. So it was a sharp finish. If king f1, bishop at g2, rook takes g2, queen e2 check, king g1, knight f3 was mating. So I had to really defend and just hold on by the skin of my teeth and pull out an attack. Yeah, I may get one more pairing here, but I'm not going to place in the positions. It was too far set back this morning. Okay, I'll try to berserk this one. Maybe my last match. I'm not going to be playing the second event because I need to get ready to walk the city to surf this morning. So after this event, I'll be closing off the stream. Apologies, I could only play for 1.5 hours. It's a normal 2-hour stretch. But yeah, had some really interesting games today. There was a question from Daniel FHD. No, sorry, M. Michael. He said bishop takes h6, king g7 was rook at g7, mate. It may have been. There's a chance I could have missed something. I'd have to review the game. Alright, king f8, knight h5 will mate here. Either way it mates, I think. Alright, we'll see if I can get one more pairing. We've got 4 minutes to go. In the meantime, I may actually have a look at the prior game. Oh, I did get a pairing. Let's see if we can make something of it. At the end of this, I'll just explore M. Michael's suggestion in case there was a mate missed. Alright, so Queen F2 is on. Yeah, where to from here? I'll get this bishop active. Alright, 2 minutes 19 to go. I'm not going to get into places, it's just another couple points. I'm just going to hit his king here so that he can't just run to safety immediately. And pick this one up. Go having to cover f6. e7 is also a good call to cover. Okay, knight at f5 is coming in. That's my main concern here. You know what? I'll be a bit aggressive. Because now pawn at c2 might become a threat. I feel like if I left the queens on, my queen was getting hit and his wasn't. And I figure I'm not getting mated by doing this either. Could be wrong there, but yeah, pawn at c2 becomes a threat. I should have enough material to clear it up. So we're going to run out of time, but we'll play the game through. I might have a quick look at the game where M. Michael had suggested a different continuation for Smoke 42. We'll see if that will have come to anything. So yeah, I want to conclude accurately here. Yeah, I want another pawn in hand. I'm not seeing the mate yet, but I'd better see it soon. Alright, this should do the trick. Okay, so I finished in 5th place today. What I'm going to do is have a quick look at one of the games that just passed. So, M. Michael had a suggestion. Let's have a look. So, let's just breeze through it here. So yeah, I definitely felt like white had the upper hand. Now there's bishop h6. Yeah, indeed. Rook at g7 is just made in one. So yeah, I haven't actually defended it accurately. White's actually just missed made in one here. Yeah, it's really unfortunate because I found defense after that. So yeah, so much for supposed brilliancy. It's not so good. So I think after bishop at h6, white is winning. Is there a better way of playing it? Maybe something like king g8 is just hanging on. And the only key difference is it makes white spend a rook. If rook at h8, capture, bishop at h6. Yeah, I think maybe more accurate is to play rook h8. And then bishop at h6 still works, because if takes, then the rook's still available. If you capture the rook, then there's a mate here. So yeah, I'd say that white was actually probably winning that one, so I can't claim superb defense. I wonder if something like this may have turned out better. It felt defensible as black, but really, really tight. Um, but my time was so short, I don't think I saw all the angles. This may look like it's holding. Um, but even so, the way the game played out, I mean, there was plenty that could have gone wrong for me after the maiden one passed. Yeah, no, Smurf42 played two really good games against me today. He also won the other one, and both are just through nice strategic play. So unfortunately, he missed that tactical trick at the end with the maiden one. Um, anyhow, I need to get ready for a 14-kilometre distance, so I'm going to call it off there. Apologies again for this stream being cut half an hour shorter than usual. Um, yeah, that's it for now. I will be heading on leave in about a couple weeks, so you may not see live streams happen as often. I'm going to see what I can do to still perhaps make some videos, but the country I'm heading to will not have an internet connection good enough to sustain a live stream. So we'll see how that goes. I will, of course, want to try to keep some material flowing. But if I don't, just know I'm heading on leave from 26th August up until September 16th. So yeah, I should have another stream next weekend, and then I should have a better idea of what's to come in the next few weeks. Anyhow, hope you all have a great weekend and a good week ahead. I'll see you next time.